Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tell Your Story. My name is Todd Nesloni. I'm an elementary school principal in Texas, as well as author of the book Stories from Web, that this entire web series is based after. Each week, I find people that have inspired me with their journeys and stories and bring them on to allow them to share a piece of their story with you. And so my guest this week is Catherine Ybarra. Catherine, I'm so thrilled that you agreed to come on the show this week. So for our viewers and listeners who may not know who you are, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, before I start, Todd, thank you so much for having me. Such a huge honor. Our first time speaking back to back, so
That's right.
I'm a little bit nervous, but it's a good nervous though. Thank you so much for having me. So, like he said, my name is Catherine Ybarra. I come from a really small city. I'm from Fresno County, so that's where I attended college. But I am actually 1 hour away, which is from the small city of Huron, California. A really small population, small city. We're expanding though. More than 75% of the population is Hispanic. A lot of field work goes on there. So like as I mentioned earlier, I first went to West Hills Community College for 2 years, was really involved there, and then I transferred off to CSU Fresno State, which is where I barely graduated last year with my bachelor's degree in English education with my emphasis in communications. And my goal at the beginning was I wanted to get into the credential program to become an English teacher. But along the way, I realized that after getting hands-on experience with a program called the Upper Bound Program, which is a program that helps students, high school students, to advance and take college courses during their college career, I realized that I was spending a lot of time one-on-one with them, and I just completely fell in love with just getting to know who they were and what they consisted of and their dreams. And I plan on going back to get my master's to become a college counselor. So I'm hoping that along the way everything will go well. And so far today, what I do is I love being connected with educators from all over the world, especially through Twitter, of course. I just recently started my blog website, which I'm finally so excited about. And I just love to be surrounded by positive people who just keep me motivated to do better and to help all of those in need. So far, that's pretty much what my life has consisted of.
I love it. So, Catherine, you are pretty active on social media. That's how we connected. That's how we've interacted. So, kind of tell me about your journey with utilizing social media. How did you get started and where did all that begin? Did I lose you or is it my Wi-Fi?
So back in the semester in 2014, I took a curriculum class, CI 149, back at Fresno State. And a lot of you may know this amazing educator. She goes by the name of Alice Keeler. She actually at that time she was a professor for that class, and let me tell you, that class was very, very challenging. It was very fast paced. I remember that she basically told us, gave us a schedule. She said, look, this is what you have to do for your class, for my class. Just work with it. I don't care if you do it wrong. The whole point of my class is to interact with different people and get to know things on your own and get introduced to the world of technology, because we're advancing each and every single day. And so that's how it all started, my connection through Twitter. She actually made us create a Twitter account, and she had us follow 10 followers every week. So I already had a Twitter back then, but I mainly used it for like celebrities. I would follow like the famous
Uh-huh.
singers and stuff like that. And I said, oh, I'm following this person, following that person. But once I was already in Keeler's class, I really started to really dive more into the education field. I started following a lot of educators. The first one was Dave Burgess, I remember, and then later on it came Adam, and then you, and then some other amazing educators. So I remember the last day of our final portfolio exam in Keeler's class. She told us that there were some chats on Twitter person could join. And I asked her, well, what kind of chats? I thought it was like maybe like one-on-one. And she's like, no, they actually have hashtags, chats, and people from all over the world, principals, teachers, administrators, they're able to connect together and just chat about different things. And I said, oh, that sounds interesting. So then one day I found a chat and I just started chatting away. And ever since then, I completely fell in love with it, and I just can't stop. I've learned so much. I cannot even recall how many chats I've joined. It's been tons of them, and I learned so much from it.
Well, and you were so passionate and so excited online, and I love that you were so active and willing to jump into conversations. Were you always that brave when you started, or what do you think was really the tipping point where you were like, I'm going to reach out to anybody and I'm going to join in anywhere and just be part of the conversation?
No, actually, see, that's the funny thing. A lot of people that known me for a long time, ever since like as a kid, they um they know me as a shy person. I was a really shy student. I didn't know how to use my voice to begin with. Growing up, my life at home was really great. I always had the support from my parents and my family, but I was the type of person, the kid that was picked on a lot, called names, and my self-esteem wasn't the best growing up. And it wasn't really until college, and I think mainly Keeler's class. I think that's where I really started to just be more open to myself. I started getting connected on campus as well, back at Fresno State. And I just started seeing, people like you and other educators share these things. And I said, well, if they're sharing these things, why cannot I share it? I mean, they're already sharing these awesome things. They're getting likes, they're getting comments. Well, might as well give it a try. And I remember I just started sharing away, and I just started seeing all these comments, these likes. People started following me, and it was just crazy. I was really overwhelmed. And I realized that nowadays everything goes, a lot of people post things on social media, and I become a huge, huge fan of just sharing my story and really helping those in need who were once me, that just need that touch of enlightenment, that inspiration, that those words that can really make a difference in their lives and get them out of their comfort zone to try something new. And that's pretty much, that was the point or comments. But nowadays it's not even about that. It's just like there's someone always looking at your work out there. Even if it's just one person or a small group, there's always someone looking out there. So I've been so happy with the results, and I just keep continue learning more and more each day.
Well, I love how you just talk about how, you just wanted to put yourself out there. You thought these people are telling a story. Why can't I tell mine? And I think that's so true. It's like sometimes some people will look at this and go, well, all their stuff is so much better. I'm not going to share mine. But I love how you took that and you were like, no, if they can share theirs, I'm going to share mine, which you totally should. So, what is something that you've really learned through social media that you've taken back and used with students?
Um, what was that again?
What is
What
something
question,
what
Todd?
yeah, what's something that you've learned from social media that you're now using with students?
Okay. One of the things that I've learned, I guess you can say, just coming together as a group. I guess the fact that just because you don't have the role, like for example, in my case, I don't have my career yet. I'm not doing what I love to do at the moment. But doing these little things, like getting connected through these chats and my blog, for example, these little things are adding experience to my resume and helping me to really understand more students' lives, like going beyond than just the academics. Because one of the things that I've learned recently is that it's really important for us as educators to understand and see that students need to perform really well academically, but also it's the emotional part and the mental part all together. All those three components, if they're not feeling good emotionally and mentally, they won't be able to focus well academically. And one of the things that I really focused on being able to learn through my involvement through social media is the fact that really going above and beyond than just, I guess you can say, the grades or the test. It's really more about students' lives, where they come from. A lot of the times that I've worked with my upper bound students, these are high school students, by the way, 9 through 12. um, I've always shared this quote with them ever since. And the quote is, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you've gone through. What matters is that you are here to learn. And behind every student is an untold story. You never know, like you've mentioned in your series many, many times, you don't know what that student has gone through. You don't know why they're feeling such way. There's always a reason behind everything. And just really focusing, getting to the core of their lives and to their hearts, for me, it has been so important. And I focused more on that versus the academic part, which is still, again, very crucial, very important. But they have lives just like us human beings. We all have something going on. And I think it's very important just to really consider that all the time with our students, no matter what.
I think that's such a great point that we have to take the time to get to know their stories. And that's not just a one-time thing either, because some people's stories change overnight. Because I know I've worked with kids before who they come to school the next day and mom was just arrested the night before, or grandpa passed away, or their pet. I've had a kid before who came to, and she was just bawling all morning in class. And when I finally got it out of her what happened, as she was getting on the bus that morning for school, her dog had got hit by a car and she watched it happen and she was just hysterical. And it's like, we have to take the time to get to know our kids. And that doesn't matter what age you're working with. But one thing that I've really been focusing a lot lately too in my own personal life is, as educators, we talk about the kids so much, and it's the kids and the kids and the kids. But I think we can't forget, too, to get to know our colleagues and to learn their stories. I talk about it in my speeches right now about everybody deserving a cheerleader and how that goes beyond just the kids. And that goes to us listening to adults and listening to our coworkers and being there for them and cheerleading them on and listening to their story. Who in your life has been a really good, powerful cheerleader for you?
Oh man, there's been a lot of people, but I think one of the people that I can really focus on, and I actually have two cheerleaders. Two of them is my counselors from Fresno State. They just, I don't know what was it about them, but just their energy and just their compassion to really motivate me to care about more than just my academics, to care about as a person. They always cheered me on. My last semester before I graduated from Fresno State, it was a really tough semester. I had a lot of things going on in my personal life where it literally almost crashed me. I didn't want to attend school anymore. It was just I was a really low point in my life at the time. And I had graduation to worry about. I had finals, and they were there. My two counselors, Jamal Washington and Walter Ramirez, they were there to help me out. And they always told me to always look at it at a positive side, to not give up, to keep moving forward. And their words, believe it or not, those sessions, those one-on-one sessions really helped me fall more in love with my new career that I want to seek as a college counselor, because those meetings can really make a difference in our lives. You could literally share your story in the most smallest pieces, in the most short sentences, and yet it can still have so much power. And they always cheered me on. Up to this day, I'm still well connected. I'm still getting invited to speak in presentations and share my testimony, because a lot of students, I feel that I could benefit from our stories, from my story. And they always cheered me on. They were there when at my lowest point. They were there in my success and my celebrations, and I have to thank them. If it wasn't for them, I don't know how my semester turned out, because it was a total chaos. It was bad, but I was still grateful for the struggles, for just being able to learn more about life and take it as a reward, that we all sometimes have to go through hard things in order to really learn who we truly are. And I learned a lot. Through all the things that I struggled and I had to face, but they were there. And up to this day, they keep telling me. One of them actually is really connected on social media as well, and he's always telling me, Catherine, your energy is something else. You're always sharing. You're always tagging me, and I'm like, well, because you're an important person. Just like I tag you, Todd. I tag you and Adam and some other educators from time to time, and it's because I'm just really for me, it's just a huge and important thing for other educators that really have made a difference in my life to see my work, and they could even share it with their other friends because it can benefit them as well.
So, speaking of just stories, what is a book that you've read recently that you think other people should totally check out? One that has just made a really big impact on you. And it could be a professional book, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be a regular chapter book too. But what's a book that really spoke to you?
Um, well, besides reading stories from Web, that one is a really, really great book.
Promise I was not trying to set you up for that one.
No, yeah, no. Besides that book, I've also been reading another one's called It's called Destiny. A Road to Destiny, I believe so. I need to check
Mhm.
the title, but it's a book really about it talks about who you are as a person, your struggles, how you should connect, and how you should really find out who you are. And it's a really powerful book that it's the first book I've ever read like that. Usually I'm really into like novels like comedy, romance, but I've been more involved with educational and that kind of type of personal books just to help me out more as a person, and it really definitely has. And this book is really all about just you, who you are as a person, who do you want to be, to get surrounded by positive people because it can really make a difference in your professional life and in your personal life. I would have to look into what's the actual title of the book, but it's called something destiny to your steps or something like that. I didn't bring the book with me, unfortunately, but it's a really really great book that I recommend for anybody out there who's just struggling with something in their lives that they just don't know how to get out of. And that book is just will bring you so much peace. Really dives into who you are as a person and and everything, and it's really helped me out in the long run.
I love that. So, Catherine, if you had one piece of advice to tell teachers, what do you think that one piece of advice would be?
Oh, one piece of advice for teachers: get to know your students. Get to know your students. And what I mean by that is really get to know who they are as a person. Don't just focus on what kind of grades they can get from standardized testing or whatever their work that they have to do. And I say this because out of all the teachers that I had, I was a type that I can't really recall. I had a lot of teachers that really pushed me to be better because I felt like a lot of the teachers that I had growing up, it was just they didn't really motivate me. I didn't really feel like I wanted to be in the classroom. I felt like I didn't really wanted to go to school because just there was just no motivation. And two teachers that I can recall were my first grade teacher, Miss Campbell, and my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Ramirez, and they were teachers that really cared about us, like who we were and how we were feeling. Like they were the type of teachers that pulled us aside and said, "Look, is there something going on? You don't have to tell me, but I want to just let you know that you can count on me. If you're not feeling so well, let me know." Those like small moments for me as a student at that time, it meant so much because again, like I mentioned before, my self-esteem, I didn't believe in myself. There's a point in my life where I thought it wasn't beautiful. I was told that I wasn't gonna go anywhere, that I was never gonna have, a boyfriend, that I was just they would literally call me the famous name of the four eyes because I wear glasses, and it's just as a kid that really hurts your self-esteem. It really does. And now looking back, it was just like I wish I had teachers that just really focused more on that one-on-one, like getting to know their students more about who they were and where they came from. And I think that's very very important, like from the moment right from the beginning, like get to know your students, and most importantly get to know their names are very important. I know you talk about a chapter on the stories from Web, and I believe Kids Deserve It book, I think you guys also mentioned about the power of names, very important. But I would just say really get to know your students because you never know what can be going on, and a simple "are you okay" can really make a difference and turn their attitude around.
I love that. So before we wrap up, somebody put in the comments, is the book called Destiny Step Into Your Purpose by T.D. Jakes?
Yes, it's that one. Yes,
There we
it
go.
was.
Somebody found it and they put it in the comments. So there we go.
Thank you so much, whoever put that. Yes, it is that book. I was just going one day to Walmart and I was really looking into some books because again at that time I just needed some motivation and I just happened to see that book in Walmart and from the first page that I started just reading I couldn't put it down and I said, you know what, I have to buy this book. And I bought it and I'm almost done with it, but it was amazing. I learned so much. So whoever put that post or that comment, thank you so much. It's that book. Totally recommend it.
Awesome. Well, Catherine, I gotta say, I was so thrilled when you agreed to come on and chat with me today. Like I said, we've been interacting off and on through social media for a while now, and you are just such a positive, powerful force who has just shown such bravery. And I love you just being vulnerable today, even and sharing some of the things you've shared, just being a student, being an adult, dealing with some of those things that you believed about yourself that weren't true. And I thank you so much for coming on with me. I loved getting to chat to you and finally kind of meet face to face. This is our first real conversation. So
Yeah, thank
thank
you.
you, Catherine, for coming on.
No, thank you so much, Todd. And I hope one day in the future I can visit Webb Elementary and
Yes.
just meet in person. Like Adam, he's been telling me he's been wanting to meet for a while. So I'm like, we have to make it happen in the future, definitely. So thank you so much for having me. It was such a huge honor.
So, for all of our listeners and viewers, make sure you check out Catherine Ybarra online. She is a great person to connect with and follow with. And thank you, everybody, for listening in to another episode of Tell Your Story. Don't forget that every one of you has a story that is important, that is worthy of being told. So, get out there, be brave, and share your pieces with the world. Everybody, have a great week.